My 7th grade students are measuring the rate of photosynthesis. They are going to be taking a flask of water and blowing their breath into it, thereby putting CO2 into water, which then changes the acidity. So it becomes a weak acid when you put CO2 into water. Once they've done this, they then use a water plant and they surround the water plant with this water that now has CO2 in it. Now what's going to happen is the plant is going to absorb the CO2 and replace it with oxygen, which will then bring the acidity back to a normal range. They're going to measure that change with the pH probe. That will give them a rate at which photosynthesis is happening. So we have 4 different problems that we're solving. Some students are working on light intensity, so they're going to change the distance that the lamp is from the plant. Some students are working on different wavelengths of color and how it will affect the rate. So some will be using red light versus blue light versus green light. Another group is going to be working on temperature. Some will be using ice water, warm water, room temperature, or hot water. And then finally, another group will be using different concentrations of CO2.
And everything else about your setup from yesterday is the same.
They already learned in class how photosynthesis works, but in lab they're really grappling with how it works in nature, how photosynthesis can be affected by different environmental situations.
Right, control.
My students were looking forward to this particular unit because they were able to use probeware that normally would be used at a high school level. So they saw the technology that they were going to have in their hands, and they were able to use it instead of using your typical pH paper, which is more laborsome and more time consuming. This was an immediate read. We could also immediately put it into a graph where you could see your results more clearly and efficiently. The whole class is exploratory in nature, so it just gives them a real good sense of discovery, how things work in nature. And, they just enjoy the setup too. They enjoy just the whole process. I love being a part of the St. Luke Science program in the middle school because of this exploratory learning. The entire science middle school program is geared towards that exploratory learning. So everything is via hands-on and discovery. We have the freedom to kind of go beyond the curriculum as long as we hit everything in the curriculum. But there's a lot of freedom there, so I feel like if I want to, explore a new lab with these kids and give them maybe a more high school approach, I can. And the wonderful thing about the freedom is that I can teach these kids things that maybe I would teach normally at a high school level, and they love it. But all I have to do is take the content down a notch, and they gain a lot.